Ladies, gamers, and gentlemen, welcome to bArtH TV. You are watching Cast My Game Community Casts, where we cast your games. My name is bArtH, as my camera makes my face all yellow because it has just turned on and has to adjust to the light coming inside of its lens. So once again, Cast My Game, episode number 39. We are only one episode away from number 40. Which is quite exciting in and of itself, isn't it? My name is bArtH, and in this show we cast master level 1v1s that you guys sent to me. If you wish to submit a replay, you can do so by following the instructions below there. That is, email your chosen replays that have to be master versus master 1v1s between 10 to 30 minute game time long. Email them to belnoir@sesnam.cz with the title Cast My Game, including a short description in the body of the email, and please don't forget to indicate which of the players is you, because I have no way of telling. If there are other stuff that you wish to forward to me, such as your stream address, your team's website, your Twitter, anything, just include that as well. I'll be sure to make a shout out for you guys with those addresses. Now today we have 2 PVZs on the menu and 1 PvP, and as always I have not watched these replays beforehand, so I don't know what will happen in those games. I can only hope that you guys chose to send me the nice games, the exciting games, the wonky games, or just a very solid, high quality entertainment. Let's see what do we have here. The first game we're going to be casting is going to be on Accolon Wastes. It is a ZVP between Water and Predator. Nice names, by the way. It's almost symbolic. If you remember the old Predator movie, Predator's invisibility or cloaking mechanism was practically countered by dumping him in water. It did not work in water. It worked everywhere, but water tends to cancel out Predator's cloaking abilities. So, Water versus Predator. Let's see if Water will be able to cancel out Predator's skill and actually proceeds to win the game. This is from the previous version of StarCraft, so I have to kind of reload the game. But no matter, we'll wait, we have time. Alright, so going into the game, as I said, this is going to be on Accolon Wastes, which is the name of the map, probably a ladder match, and in the top left we see that we have the red Protoss player. It's going to be Predator, and in the bottom right it is going to be none other than Walter playing the blue Zerg pieces in this matchup, taking great care to double stack his mineral patches early on in the game, actually making a mistake and trying to stack a patch that already was stacked and therefore unstacking it, but hey, nobody's perfect. So on this map, usually if we talk about Protoss openings, it usually comes down to, is it going to be a Forge Fast expand, is it going to be a gateway expansion? Just by the location of this pylon, I can surmise that this is going to be a gateway expand, and both are viable still. It's just a difference in style. I mean, with a Forge Fast expand, you are practically saying to the Zerg, you can do whatever the hell you want for the next 6 or 8 minutes, or maybe even 10 minutes. And if you're not ready at 10 minutes, then I'm gonna smash you with a giant sledgehammer. Whereas if you're gateway expanding, you're sending a message that, well, I have the option to tech up quickly, I will have a mothership core out very soon, so you better be ready and not take your third base, because if you do, I'm gonna kill it. So As far as openings on the Zerg side go, some Zergs are very ballsy and try to go for a 15 hatch. Not going to be the case this time with Water here, as he has put down the spawning pool down first. But just by the timing of this scouting of this drone, he could think that this is a Forge Fast Expand. Because usually when you're going for Forge Fast Expands, you are scouting directly after the pylon, and if that were the case, this probe would have gotten into Water's base approximately 1 minute earlier than it has. It would arrive somewhere between 1:30 and 2 minutes, and Water saw that probe way later. So for all he can think about having not drone scouted, this could be a gateway expansion. But right now, he sees that the gateway is actually being put down here on the low ground. It still could be a gateway expansion. Let's see if this will throw him off, if he will end up trying to take a third base or not. Yes, he is indeed going to take a third base. Is he going to get a gas for fast speed? If he's not going to get a gas, then he basically thinks that this is going to be this is a Forge Fast Expand, and is going to be making a correct read just by seeing that cannon. Confirms that his suspicions were correct. So I don't expect him taking a quick gas here. That would be relatively unwise in his position. The gateway is finishing up. We are going to see a cyber core being put down relatively shortly here. There we go. Double gas mining away. Interestingly enough, only 2 probes on each gas. There we go, saturating to 100%. And once that cyber core finishes in approximately 30 seconds, that is the moment when we are going to see what's the plan here for Predator. What kind of tech choice he's going to go with. And if he's gonna tech up, then he's probably going to throw down that tech immediately when the cyber core finishes, not a second later. If he wants to take a third base, however, very quickly, he may postpone the tech a little bit, but not by very much. We see that on the Zerg side of things so far, Water is just droning up. The worker count is showing 29 versus 34 right now, and more drones to come, 5 more in fact. So he will try to drone up very quickly, at least to that 55 drone mark. By that time, he should know what the hell his opponent is up to. If he doesn't, he might just elect to start building army units at that point. We shall have to see. It would be the wise choice. Water is scouting the main base of Predator at this time and does see the Stargate. I think he actually did click on it, so no mistake there. And the reaction, the common reaction from the Zergs is, I will start droning like crazy because you are probably going to go with Phoenixes and I will lose drones. So I mean, be it to harassment or just by having to build spore crawlers in your bases, you will lose drones. So why not start pumping even more? And we see 11 on the production tab right now. So very wise choice here from Water. He might just save this Overlord barely, but doesn't manage to do it. And indeed, it is going to be Phoenixes coming out of the Stargate. As well as +1 weapons. So that is a wise choice. Might indicate that Predator wants to follow this harassment up with a little bit of a gateway push. Maybe, just maybe, he is trying to go for the Zealot Phoenix push, which can be hugely effective. And look at this. This is a very bold move by Water, trying to take a 4th base this early. This is 8-minute 4th base without basically any kind of army. These army units are just 2 lings out on the map that are sitting here for scouting purposes. And well, no additional tech, really. He doesn't even have lair finished yet. It's only just now coming down, about 10 seconds to go. He has taken additional gases though, and he's going to be working off of 6 gases, so probably going to be teching up very aggressively here, abusing the fact that his opponent Forge Fast expanded, and it's going to take some time before he's going to be able to attack him now. The Protoss player has put down the Twilight Council. to synchronize it with the +1 ground attacks finishing up. So he is thinking of going very rapidly into +2. Meanwhile, he's going to be using the Phoenixes for a little bit of pressure, but most importantly, scouting, denying map presence of the Zerg player in order to make his moves out on the map a little bit easier. And once he scouts the Zerg player out and sees what he's going for, he will adapt accordingly. So this is a defensive mindset. He will be taking a third base as he's doing this as well, but he really needs to go scout right now. He really needs to figure out what Water is up to, and Water, he's getting double spire. So, you know, if he doesn't scout it right now, he's gonna be so dead, because he would need to add a fleet beacon, a second Stargate, very probably, to react to this accordingly. But interestingly enough, Water, he's also getting road speed, and I don't think he's got any Evo chambers down yet. No, he does not. That is very peculiar to me. It looks like he wants to commit heavily to Mutalisks with double upgrades, possibly going into Broodlords in the later stages of the game. But all these roaches are kind of confusing me, and we see 10 Corruptors being built instead of Mutalisks. That's a good choice as well, considering he saw the Robo facility, so probably the Protoss player will have the option to transition into Colossi in the later stages of the game. And maybe Water just built those 10 Corruptors to safeguard the Mutalisks, which are coming up straight after the Corruptors. That is a wise move, I have to say, because the Phoenixes are already out. So if he opened up the Spire production with Mutalisks, then he would have these 4 Phoenixes to contest with. But since he queued up Corruptors first, he will have means to defend the Mutalisks with these 10 Corruptors. He doesn't need any more, actually, unless he really wants to transition into Broodlords later on. But those Phoenixes, they cannot kill the Mutas right now. And with this many Corruptors as well, the Protoss player cannot go Colossi, because as soon as the Zerg player sees, oh, there are Colossi coming out, well, I better get more Corruptors. And we see already the effects of Water's strategy taking place, as there are no Colossi coming out of the Robo facility, only pure Immortals. And where is the Templar Archives? Should have been down already. I mean, as a Protoss player, if you see this kind of composition, you gotta go Templars, you gotta go Storm as quickly as possible. There are 3 Void Rays out on the field, but versus 10 Corruptors, I don't know if this is going to be enough. Meanwhile, the Mutalisks coming and try to kill a couple of probes, as many as they can. In fact, the Phoenixes are too slow to react, and the Mutalisks get away with 6 probe kills. And here come the lingering reinforcements. Finally, we are seeing some upgrades, by the way, from the Zerg player. We are seeing +1 air, +1 air carapace, +1 melee, +1 ground carapace. Also, the infestation bit is just now finishing, so let's see if Water will be moving into Hive immediately. Yes, there it is, so probably preparing a Broodlord transition. This could backfire, you know, if the Protoss player makes a bunch of Void Rays. This could backfire. Void Rays, Tempests, a direct counter to this, but it doesn't look like the Protoss player is responding to this accurately or appropriately at all. And for the time being, at least, Water has him pinned inside his 3 bases. Protoss player cannot really move out just because of the threat of those Mutalisks swinging around and doing terrible, terrible damage to his mining mineral lines. So he's just assuming a defensive mindset, and this is one of the goals that you could be going for as a player in any StarCraft 2 match. If you can force your opponents to be defensive, then pretty much the map is yours. And Walter is, I think, employing just that tactic. Look at him taking a 5th base over here, taking a 6th base over here. And frankly, if Predator doesn't do something about those bases, he's going to be hopelessly out macroed and hopelessly behind. Look at the bank starting to rise for water as he is maxed out at this point, continuing those air upgrades, continuing the ground upgrades. Actually, he cancelled one of those, so it must have been a mistake. Probably realizing that he kind of needs the gas. And interestingly enough, it's not going to be the Greater Spire, it's going to be the Ultralisk Cannon. This could also be a good choice, seeing that the Protoss player is not committing to air as a response to this Corruptor Muta force, instead getting more and more and more Stalkers. But I have to question the decision, considering we have this many Immortals out on the field. That's 7, but we have an engagement right here, and who will come out on top? Good force fields, limiting the movement of those roaches. The majority of this army is staying alive. Good upgrades on the Protoss forces as well, and all of this forces Walter to retreat. He lost the majority of his Mutalisk count there, 50% of those, so that trade has not gone well for him. Resources lost, showing that he's 2,000 resources behind, but he does have these mining bases. I don't think the Protoss player knows about them. No, he does not, and he should be looking to take a 4th base of his own right now, but Walter already secured 2 additional bases. So like I said, Predator is going to be a little bit behind. Let's look at the upgrades. It's +3 on the ground army for the Protoss player, 1-1-1-1 for the Zerg player, but he is going to have 1-1-1, I mean 2-2-2 for his units shortly. And I would really love to see those Greater Spires being morphed. I'd really love to see those, because without Storm, they could help out tremendously, and Walter might have just put himself into a position that he might not be able to take favorable engagements versus the Protoss any longer. Here we have another one, but again, good force fields. Majority of those focusing on shielding those Immortals from harm. And again, Walter losing more and more and more Mutas. Aggressive blink forward, trying to pick off even more of them as Predator realizes that the Mutalisks are all that is keeping him from moving out and trying to put some more nails into Walter's coffin. One big mistake by the Protoss player here at this point in time is actually 2 mistakes. He's been slow to react by building air units, and he doesn't have any AoE capabilities. Trying to come back into the game with DTs, I do not know if that is the correct choice. And look at the vision, he doesn't know anything, whereas Walter, he's got the whole map to himself. He doesn't even need to take the watchtowers because he's got units everywhere, and he might just take down this Nexus. In fact, I think he will. He should focus it down, but no, he's going to run away from the Stalkers and the couple Void Rays. And really, a Greater Spire transition would be awesome at this point. I mean, he's taken out almost all the Void Rays. In fact, there is only 1 Void Ray remaining here in the Protoss army, and doesn't look like the Protoss will be producing any more. So if he could catch the Protoss player off guard with a Broodlord's transition, this would be awesome for Walter. But as it is, he's making this harder on himself than he necessarily has to. Adrenal glands coming up in the spawning pool, as well as chitinous plating for the Ultralisks. And well, the game seems to be pretty even, and both armies are maxed. If we look at the army volume, look at the gas being pumped into both of these armies. Both of these armies are insanely expensive. And Protoss player finally is maxed, trying to move out. Did take out the hatchery here, so that's a good boon for him. But it needs to take out 1 more. Actually, he is doing exactly that. There are spore crawlers being built, but they will not be done in time before those DTs take care of the hatchery. We have another engagement here. Mutalisks going forward, and they need to target down the Mothership Core and the Stalkers. They are doing exactly that. But the Stalkers, they have +3 upgrades versus just the... Oh, actually, the Mutas are on 3-3, so the Stalkers might have a tough time dealing with this, blinking away. Meanwhile, the remainder of the forces is pushing into the Zerg territory, but is too far from any bases to take them out quickly. But, yeah, the DTs have taken out 1 more base here for our Protoss player Predator, and he needs to warp in more and more and more and more Stalkers. At this point, even producing Phoenixes by threes. He's doing everything right, basically. The resources lost, again, he's still ahead on those 3,000 resources. He's gonna have Archons, he's gonna have very well upgraded units, but at this time, not continuing those upgrades on the ground army, specifically the armor upgrade, is going to bite him in the ass, as the Stalkers are going to start falling like flies. The Mutalisk count is just too great right now for the Zerg player. 28 Mutalisks and only 13 Stalkers, 4 Phoenixes, which are nowhere to be found currently, not contributing to the fight, and Walter is smelling a chance at victory here. He smells blood, he's pushing forward, more Stalkers coming in from the natural base, but it doesn't matter at this point, the damage has been done. And at this point, Walter is trading very, very well. I don't know if it's the best of ideas to sacrifice all of these meters, though. Especially since there are 3 Stargates in play and Walter is running out of resources. He's continuing to produce Mutalisks. And this game will be very, very, very close still. And again, I have to point out, why no... Oh, there is the Greater Spire. Whew. So, where are the Broodlords? I would like to know. I would really like to know where are the Broodlords, because there are still a lot of Corruptors and they have nothing to shoot at. There we go, there we go. Good boy, Walter, good boy. Should have done that long time ago. And I just want to point out that, again, unless the Protoss player sees this, which I don't know if he was looking at this point. If he wasn't looking, then he might not have seen it. Then unless he starts pumping out Void Rays immediately, he's gonna be in a lot of trouble. I mean, it will ultimately depend on the number of Broodlords, and the Protoss player could still pull this off if he manages to kill the Mutalisks with his Phoenix count. And since there is no ground army to speak of on the Zerg side, he could then blink in aggressively with all of his Stalkers, and this many Stalkers will take out these Broodlord numbers, no problem. The question is, will Walter allow that to happen? It looks like it will come down to the engagement right now. So, upgrades 3-3 on the ground for the Protoss player, and almost all threes here for the Zerg player, even adding in Ultralisks into the mix right now, presumably to keep the Stalkers away from the Broodlords, because, you know, Ultralisks, they make a short work of Stalkers. But again, we have still these 4 Immortals here. If they target fire down the Ultras, they will not be useful at all. And keep in mind, we also have 4 Archons, which are useful both against clumped up Broodlords and Ultras as well. And additionally, this army of Broodlords is very, very, very small. So once Water engages, he better makes it work, because if he doesn't, he's going to lose. And I don't know if he'll have enough resources banked to be able to reproduce his army, as he will be pulling back fast enough to defend the inevitable Protoss counter-push. He's trying to take more bases right now. 1 here, and he will probably try to take 1 here as well. The Protoss player should try to attack right now, because he is mined out at his natural expansion. He's mined out in the main, and his 3rd base does not have long to go. I expect 5 to 8 minutes mining on that base, and it looks like Predator realizes this, so he's trying to go for it, but at the same time his 4th base is under attack. This could be a good position though for the Protoss player if he can catch the Broodlords from behind. And here we go. Here we have the engagement. The Zerg army has to reposition itself. The Phoenixes are trying to kite the Mutalisks away, and this, I don't know if this was the best call for the Protoss player, just mounting an all-out retreat like this. An aggressive blink forward into those Miras would be deadly right now. The Archons moving forward would be great, but he's just losing so much stuff because he's just move commanding back. I don't know what he's doing right here. Maybe he's just too scared of the Broodlords, but really he could have taken that fight, and I am confident, entirely confident, that he would have won that fact. Instead, he chose to sacrifice his 4th base in a situation where he does not have quite a lot of mining going for him. Mining only half of what the Zerg player is at this point. This base is done as well for the Zerg player, so all he has to do is send some drones there to mine that, and Walter is just going to extend his advantage even further. This was a very, very bad decision for Predator, and it might just cost him the game, as Walter is trying to position himself for another attack. Predator reacting to the Broodlord threat with Void Rays, but at this point I think it's a little bit too late. There's the aggressive blink in. This is not what you want to do. You need to kill the army part by part by part, because if you blink underneath the Broodlords like this, you're just going to get demolished. And if we look at the unit counts, 3 Archons is all that is remaining. No bank for the Predator. He says so strong and taps out of the game. So strong indeed, but I have to say Walter is so strong compared to what Predator displayed in this game. It's not the unit composition, it's not the game, it's bad decision making on the Protoss part. So he takes the game. This was game number 1. I'm going to go into game number 2 in a moment. But first, I will have a glass of water, because my throat is getting a little bit dry. What level is this? This is Masters versus Masters. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks you guys on YouTube for watching as well. I will be right back, and we'll go into game number 2 shortly. And we are back, or I am back in this case, as I do not have a co-caster today. So, gonna go into game number 2. If you guys like the cast, I would appreciate a follow on Twitch, and of course, if you frequent places such as Twitter, YouTube, or Facebook, you can give me a follow there as well. Appreciate it, and you will get news on what I'm casting, when, with whom. So, let us just log in once again to the awesome game that is StarCraft 2 Heart of the Swarm, and load up the second replay. Second replay is going to be a PvP on Whirlwind. The players are going to be Bhutan and bArtH. Alright, so here we are on Whirlwind. As I said, this is going to be a PvP. In the lower right corner from Clan Reed, what the hell, really? We have the Protoss player Bhutan wearing green colors, and in the top right we are going to have from Team Combat Wombats Czech Republic. It is the orange Protoss player bArtH. Now, bArtH is a guy that really likes to practice awesome builds. And what he also likes to do is spam his APM like crazy. He has a bunch of videos on YouTube that actually say bArtH the Protoss god, the god of APM, etc, etc, etc. And, well, his APM right now is the testament to his desire to spam as much as possible. We shall have to see if this APM remains the same throughout the game, or if it will drop considerably, as there are more and more things that he needs to be doing in a match. So far, the only thing he needs to do is put down this gateway and go scout. His opponent is going to do the same, of course. And in the current metagame of PvP, usually the players are opening up with double gases, so let's see if this is going to be the case. Probably not, as this is the gas on 14. So the second gas probably on both sides actually will go down a little bit later. Maybe now, after the pylon, or maybe after the core. I'm guessing it will be after the core, because if you build a second gas after the pylon, you delay your core slightly, which would make you vulnerable to gateway pushes. So let's see, Bhutan scouting out his opponent on the first try, as well as bArtH. bArtH trying to be fancy and harass a little bit with his scouting probe there, almost losing it, only 2 hits away, starting to regenerate those shields right now, and going to probably do a little bit of harassment again. So as I said, there we have the second gas straight after the core, which means both of these players will be teching up a little bit. Still might put down the second gate, but that will make it so that their stalkers that they're probably going to be building are not going to be in sync. And it looks like for both players it is going to be a 1-gate opener here, with bArtH getting a Stalker out and Bhutan getting a Zealot before everything else, which leads me to believe he might just go for a Sentry right now. Well, the scouting probe is still inside Bhutan's base, so Bhutan can't really put down the tech that ideally he'd want to put down. And now that the probe left, he can make his plans known to us. So there's the 1 gateway. Will we see him put down a second one? Making it a 3-gate? Yes, there we go. Actually, no, it's a Stargate. Alright, so we have a Stargate opening versus a Twilight Council opening. bArtH getting rid of the scouting probe a little bit faster than Bhutan. Actually, I think he didn't kill it. He didn't kill it. And the probe is still hiding out inside his main base. bArtH completely missing that, but the mothership core is going to find out. But the probe probably will scout the Twilight Council. Oh, I did not notice actually if Bhutan clicked on that building or not. But just by the size of it, he has to know. Woo! Okay, so bArtH a little bit concerned that his plans have been revealed, cancels the Twilight Council immediately, and instead is expanding. Now this could mess with Bhutan's head quite considerably, as he is getting the robo facility up right now, and is getting an expansion of his own, but he's going to be very, very, very defensive right now, not really producing any units. Whereas bArtH, he's adding on a second gate, he's getting a robo facility, so he is a little bit behind on that, but probably we will see 1, maybe even 2 observers being chrono boosted out of this robo facility of Bhutan, as he is no doubt afraid of DTs. If he did not see that Twilight Council, he would probably go with an Immortal first, maybe even a second one before ever getting the observer, but as it is, 2 observers, and that will give bArtH a little bit of catching up in case he wants to go Immortals, which is, I suspect this is what he wants to be doing. So, oh, a misclick. God damn it, bArtH. Why don't you remap the hold position key to something else? Anyways, bArtH is slightly ahead on workers. He's slightly, just ever so slightly, couple seconds, maybe 1 production cycle of probes ahead on that expansion. And he will be even on on immortal count because actually with proper chrono boost usage he might be even, just because those two observers from Bhutan went out of that robo facility before ever queuing up the first immortal. What bArtH is going to be ahead on, no doubt about that, is going to be the upgrades. He's already getting the +1, and although he might be outnumbered when it comes to immortals, if he chooses to do an immortal push once the +1 finishes, he will have the advantage in the upgrades. And he's teching quickly into Colossi as well, so probably only going to get 2, maybe 3 immortals, I'm guessing 2, and then transition into Colossi straight afterwards. Forge going down for Bhutan. bArtH, though, he sees everything, and he sees that there is no support bay here. Just now getting thrown down directly underneath the vision of that observer. It is going to, of course, get taken out probably, but he did see that second robo facility and that robo support bay. bArtH is probably going to react with a Stargate play. There it is, double Stargate going up for him. Is going to pump out a lot of, well, actually he could go with Phoenixes as well as Void Rays. He could also try to take a third base and tech to Tempests relatively quickly. Another misclick, bArtH. You should not be spamming your IPM that much, I'm telling you. And there's the third base. This is very much the style that players like Liquid Hero employ quite frequently. Liquid Hero actually being so bold as to go Tempests on only 2 bases. He's like, I don't need a third base to go Tempest. I'm just gonna do it on 2 bases. bArtH, however, he's just gonna go with good old mass Void Rays. He's getting +1 air attacks right now, and you know, if his opponent continues with the double Colossus production, he's in for a lot of trouble. He's in to have some very bad times ahead of him. Because, you know, on 2 bases, double Robo Colossus, that pretty much means that you're not producing any other ground army as long as you're producing the Colossi, or very little of it. Consider the upgrades as well. You need to be investing into that. Look at Bhutan's gas. He can't have enough for his gateway production, his double Colossus production, and the upgrades. Look at this one robo. It's been inactive for a very long time. So his ground army is going to be really small, and the way this works is that you basically only produce Colossus off of 2 robos. And once you have like 4 or 6, you slam down multiple gates, take a third base, and round up your army composition with a lot of zealots, couple sentries, couple stalkers, and try to get some archons into there as well. Maybe even some immortals, which is actually a good idea. But versus a Void Ray heavy composition, this is not going to work. And Bhutan even scouted it. So I don't really understand what he's doing here. He's just continuing with the Colossus production, seemingly ignoring the fact that there are 2 Stargates down. I just don't understand what is going on. Only 1 Colossus in this army, though. 2 Colossi, 1 must have just popped out, but this army is so small. I mean, army supplies are 61 for Bhutan, 52 for bArtH, but bArtH has 4 Void Rays on the field, and not a lot of anti-air. With these 2 immortals, these will be able to shred through those stalkers very, very quickly, and we do have an engagement going down here. Let's see if those Void Rays can take down the Colossi very, very quickly, and indeed they would have if the recall would not have been initiated, because all the stalkers have been killed. And I don't know if Bhutan realizes how far behind he is at this point. He needs to make a quick tech switch. The problem is, he doesn't have it ready, and despite him getting double upgrades, he's in such a bad position right now, in such a bad spot. And if bArtH ever starts incorporating Tempests into his composition, this will get even worse for Bhutan. bArtH getting a second forge right now, as his third base is almost saturated. So he will start getting those double ups as well. It's going to be Templar Archives for Bhutan. That's a good choice, and he will probably try to go with Storm, as far as I know. I'm wondering if bArtH will take this opportunity to try to take a fourth base. He might even try to take it here, as he could then station his army here, maybe some units here, and prevent the Bhutan units from entering his territory in this area altogether. Basically, the only means he could do that is via a War Prism. I think this was an observer just now taken out. There is a warping of 4 Zealots total inside bArtH's base. Look at the reaction time warping in a Zealot, but unfortunately that's not going to be quite enough. bArtH is supply blocked right now, so cannot warp in any more units. Will only be able to warp in one at a time. There go the Void Rays. The War Prism, where is the War Prism right now? Has it been taken out? No, it was not. It is getting hunted down, though, by this one Stalker. Should get away no problem if Bhutan is paying attention. How many Void Rays do we have out on the field? 6 Void Rays, and bArtH is actually not adding any more Void Rays. He's switched back into the Colossus production. He's getting charged. Double ups, Thermal Lances almost completed. And he's in a very good spot. He is hugely behind in upgrades on the ground army, but I don't think this is going to matter all that much. As long as he can kill off all the Colossi very quickly, then he should be able to win the direct engagement, just because having Void Rays with no anti-air as a response to them is obviously very good. I think bArtH saw that. Yeah, he did. He is repositioning his army accordingly. Will kill off these Zealots, so that's a net loss for Bhutan. And bArtH is taking a fourth base at exactly the position I thought he'd be taking it. So that just goes to show that I'm not that stupid as some people think I am. Continuously hunting down the War Prism as well with this one Stalker, so making Bhutan's days a little bit darker as the game goes on, and bArtH constantly being ahead of bases. And as we are approaching the 200-200 mark, I think regarding composition, bArtH is a little bit better off than his opponent. He's got 4 Templars and Storm available, that is true, but if bArtH sees those Templars, which he should have seen right now with the Phoenix, all he has to do is spread his army in a good arc, and he's gonna be just fine. Well, he should start warping in more and more and more Zealots. Actually, he should be dumping every single last bit of minerals he's got remaining to warp in Zealots right now. Right now, bArtH. Right now, do it. Please. bArtH. There we go. Zealots being warped in. And, you know, adding on additional gateways would be good as well. There go, 4 additional gateways down, and it looks like the engagement will be imminent here. As Bhutan's 4th base is finishing up, these bases are very, very close to one another, and good storms will be needed here. The Void Rays are clumping up, but bArtH very, very careful there with them, moving them out of those storms, constantly dodging them. And I think we should be out of storms at this point. Yes, we are, which means the Void Rays will just try to go on town onto the Stalkers. Can they kill them in time, though, as the Colossi of bArtH are falling, and it looks like bArtH is witnessing a total annihilation of his units. At the same time, he has to defend the harassment at his 3rd base, and I think Bhutan, if he pushes in now, he could make something happen. Knocking out this 4th base could be all that he's looking to do, and it would be enough, quite frankly. He doesn't need to do anything else here. Yep, that base is going down. Meanwhile, the DTs have cleaned, or tries to clean up. Yeah, this one DT has 23 kills, so they have pretty much cleaned the entire natural expansion of probes. bArtH assuming a defensive stance for now. There's a lot of Stalkers here, and Stalkers don't do that well versus Archons and Immortals, if bArtH had any, that is. And I think at this point in time, Bhutan can just go for another snipe at this base right here, and that would surely have broken bArTH's neck. Let's see if he's going to try and go ahead and do that. But it looks like no, he's very preoccupied with these couple of DTs that are running around his main base to do much else. And we can see that the probe count has dropped considerably for him. Oh, oh no, you don't want to go up that ramp. Trust me. Especially not with the Tempests. I mean, there is not that many of them, but Bhutan doesn't know. He doesn't know. He did see the Tempest shot, which means, for him at least, that he's going to be like, oh, I'm going to keep well away from that ramp because the range on the Tempest is huge and I don't want to lose my Colossi. And bArTH, realizing that the Colossi are the greatest threats to him right now, is gonna go with Immortal Archon. Seeing this many Stalkers really calls for it. I mean, if you can out-DPS this army with a lot of Immortals, you will kill those Stalkers very quickly, then you get rid of the Colossi very quickly, and then the army and the enemy is yours for the taking. But again, bArTH is... bArTH's army supply is a little bit better than it was in the first engagement. Let's see how the next fight will go like. The upgrades are even this time, unlike the first battle. So I think bArTH should take a favorable engagement at this point. There is no way he should not be able to. And Bhutan scared to engage this army a little bit. bArTH only having one Tempest there, that could be enough. He's trying to pre-split his units before moving forward as... Yep, there he goes. Storming the Archons, not the best of ideas, as the Archons have a lot of shields. And look at it. Look at this. bArTH just having too many Immortals. And too many units providing meat shield cover for those Colossi. And Bhutan just tapping out of the game with only 13 army supply remaining. Well played, bArTH, but you fucked up in the mid-game. Let me tell you that. If you're watching this, don't be mad. You know you fucked up. But in the end, just good decision making on the composition. I really liked it. So let's go into game number 3 here. And that will again be a PvZ. And this should be a good one if the description in the email is anything to go by. This game was submitted by... You know what? I'm not gonna tell you. But yeah, thanks for watching. Once again, my name is bArTH. You are watching Cast My Game, a show where I cast your games. The only prerequisite is that they have to be between 10 to 30 minutes long, approximately, and both players have to be masters in skill level. Regarding the server and stuff like that, I'm not really too big on server differences, so whatever part of the globe you're from, you're free to submit. All you have to do is email them to me at belnoir@cesnam.cz with the title Cast My Game with a short description. And I do pick replays randomly, so if you don't get casted right away, don't be sad. I will work down the list of replays and in the end probably cast most of them. Oops. So, jumping into the last game of today, we see Creative, the red Protoss player, here in the top left position of Belshir Vestige. His opponent is going to be the Blue Zerg Evan from Team 3MS. I don't know what that is. I'm just glad it is not PMS, because that would make things slightly awkward. And yeah, Creative is going to go with a gateway expansion, looks like here, just by the positioning of this pylon. You can go for Forge Fast Expand with an in-base Forge, but if that's the case, most Protosses build the pylon in the back here. Belshir Vestige, because there's a lot of open space around the main mineral line, is not very good for Forge Fast Expands, though, because I mean, Akelon is better because you can SimCity behind the minerals. You cannot do that on Belshir Vestige. So Gateway going up right now, and his opponent Evan, he's just going to go very standard, opening 14 or 15 pool actually in this case, going to be taking his natural expansion at around 235, 245. Only one gas here though for creative, and saturating that one with only 2 probes. Not scouting so far, so there goes the natural expansion for the Zerg player, for Evan. And yep. Looks like creative will be taking his expansion as well. Now, if I remember correctly, this game was taken from the American server. I'm not entirely sure on that, but probably has been submitted by an American. This Zealot is not gonna get cancelled, so that just goes to show that creative is playing a really greedy build. He's not scouting at all. If you notice his scouting, he's not scouting anything so far. And he is just relying on the solid build order that supposedly he has. Only now the probe is going out to scout. And where is the mothership core? I am missing mothership core here. This could be very dangerous here, because ordinarily when you're doing this, you want to scout with your mothership core. You keep all the rest of your units here at the ramp, especially if you have a sentry. You don't want your sentry out in the open, and you go to scout with your mothership core to know if there are lings on the way, to clear the watchtowers, to clear the third base. Nothing of the sort happening right now, and creative, oh my god, he's not gonna go for an expansion, he's faking this out. Unfortunately, Evan, he knows the expansion is not down, because if it was, he would have seen probes. He would have seen probes mining the minerals. This is going to be a 4-gate. A blind 4-gate? Are you kidding me? A blind 4-gate? And I think Evan is gonna be in some trouble here, because he doesn't have any spine crawlers. Gas only just now finished, which means he's not gonna have speed, and he will have to start building those spines. He does see the proxy pylon here, did see the probe there. He sees that the expansion is only just now coming up, so I don't know, maybe more spines would be appropriate at this situation, or in this situation. Yes, it would be. And the warp gate is finishing up. So this is a really awkward build. This is the first time I've seen anything like this, like 4-gate into an expansion. That's like so ridiculously old school, you would not believe. This reminds me of the good old days of 2010/2011 Wings of Liberty. That was such good. Those were such good times, and people used to play exactly like that back then. Now, this pylon here, unfortunately, is going to supply block creative. So unless he manages to build another one, he is building one, so that's okay. He will be able to continue warping. And is he going to go for a third base? Yeah, he is going to go for the third base. He should. Yep, there we go. And these spine crawlers, unfortunately, were cancelled. This could backfire here for Evan. And I don't think at this point that creative is doing the right thing. Because in all honesty, look at this, 22 lings on the way, speed or no speed, it doesn't matter. 22 lings is still 22 lings. 22 lings, 3 roaches, this third base might go down, but the natural will be safe, or should be safe. Especially if Evan decides to throw down 2 additional spines there, which really he should at this point. The Protoss is slightly ahead on workers, and is continuing to warp in more and more and more units, so creative not really macroing too well here. 10 more roaches, creative is going to back away, get his forge down, And I just cannot help but wonder, since we don't have a ramp here, and this is a really huge space, and you can form a good concave here, even firing from this position with the roaches at the wall. I have to wonder, is a counter push from Evan going to be successful? I mean, he doesn't have very many workers right now, only 28 drones, but he could still try to go ahead and do something. Oh, and this is really smart. This is really freaking smart from Creative, continuing this with a double Stargate. This should work out fairly well for him. Now, double evolution chamber going up for the Zerg player. No additional gases being taken so far. Still only working off of these two with one drone only. And is going to be... he's not counterattacking. So he should be looking to get a lair, at least. The third base is being reconstructed right now, so it's going to be all good. Let's see what's going to come out of these two Stargates, though. That's what I want to know. Okay, so it's not going to be Void Rays, it's going to be Phoenixes. And there is no lair in sight, which means no Hydralisks, no Mutalisks, no nothing. The only defense versus Phoenixes will be Queens and Spores, and with double Stargate production of Phoenixes, if there is actually enough gas to do so, and there should be, purely just Phoenixes could be enough to finish Evan off here. He's trying to re-drone right now, getting his lair up, +1 range, +1 carapace. Still quite some time before the lair will be done though, and this will leave a window of opportunity open for Creative here. Oh, seriously? Is he going to try to go for the third base again while he builds up his Phoenix count? That would be the smart thing to do. He's going for a third base as well. If he can take out this third base and pull back without actually losing any units or any gas-heavy units, any important units such as the sentries, this is going to be a win-win situation for him, because he's gonna have the Phoenixes ready to do some more harassment, and he's got his third base coming up. Good force fields here, unfortunately not helping the Zealots, but keeping the sentries alive. The Zealots providing a screen of sorts for the Stalkers and the Sentries, which they can use to take out as many workers as possible, but just by pulling those drones makes it so that the Protoss army had to pull back. This third base, I don't know if it will go down at this point. Oh, this might have been a mistake. This might have been a mistake on the Protoss's part, because more reinforcements are coming in, and he's losing everything here. If we look at the unit counting station, he only has 2 Stalkers, 1 Stalker, 0 Stalkers very shortly here, and only 3 Phoenixes. That is the entirety of his army. No sentries, which pretty much just a Roachling max out right now, or a counterattack will kill this third base, will kill this base. You don't have sentries, you lose, man. I don't care how many Phoenixes you got. And since there are no Void Rays out, the Roaches are going to be super effective versus the Protoss army right now. So yeah, only pure Zealots. That's not gonna cut it, not with the Roaches here. They can kite, they can focus these Zealots down very quickly. And it's not looking good for the Protoss player. Where are the Phoenixes? They're just flying around the map, trying to do more harassment. At this point, they should be helping with the defense instead of trying to harass more. Another warping of Zealots. Creative is really high on gas, but still not producing any sentries. Trying to switch over to Void Rays right now, and straight away I have to say that's of course a common reaction when you cannot defend Roaches easily with ground forces. But it's not gonna work, because we already have muscular augments being researched in the Hydralisk den, and Hydralisk production will probably start shortly here, making those Void Rays really obsolete. And the worker count also showing that the Zerg is ahead. The Roaches are getting cleaned up though with the help of those Phoenixes. They should have been doing that from the start. And ooh, 4th base going up for Evan. Evan playing really nicely here, I like that. Apart from under-preparing for the 4-gate attack, which, when he did not see anything being mined from the natural, he should have known what's coming. Other than that, he's been playing a good game here, I have to say. He got caught off guard only once at the beginning, lost his third base as a result. But other than that, well, he's good. Oh, nice bait there. Gets one Phoenix for it. Not even losing a Hydra. And ooh, actually taking two bases at the same time. Getting his infestation bait, getting his Spire up. The Protoss player is in a very odd situation right now, I'd have to say. Fleet beacon going down though, as the Spire probably was scouted. No, wasn't. Looks like it wasn't, but it might just be that Creative wanted to go for an air army straight from the start. It looks like it, because he's not warping anything that costs gas on the ground. He's just pumping all of his gas into air units. So getting the fleet beacon is just a natural next step. And I'm really praying to see carriers right now. I really am. I want to see carriers, man. Do it. Do it. Go with carriers, please. So, what are we going to have on the ground for the Protoss player? It's going to be Zealots with charge, maybe some Archons, and in the air he'll have a lot of Void Rays, couple Phoenixes. His air composition is going to be changing depending on what the Zerg throws up into the air. And the Zerg not even going with Mutalisks, he's just producing Corruptors straight up, very many of them, and going Spire immediately. I would like to see Infestors and a lot of Hydralisks versus an air composition. Infestors to lock down the Phoenixes and the, most importantly, the Zealots, so that they can't touch the Hydras. And Hydras and Queens just to kill off the air army. Trust me, it works. It's the best possible counter you can make. That is, of course, counting on the fact that you don't let the Protoss get a 200-200 air army, because when that happens, even that will not help you. I mean, All Saints could not have helped you versus a 200-200 air army. So here we have an attack on the right side of the map, left side of the map, excuse me, onto this base. Probably not going to work though, as there is too many Hydralisks here. See, what did I tell you? Corruptors, utterly useless. Going to be falling like flies, but Queens, Hydralisks, they're good versus Void Rays. Look at this. Look at this. Not very many Hydras here, but still going to make a favorable exchange. So many Void Rays have gone down. The Hydras are falling though, so not a lot of anti-air remaining here, but the fourth base is staying alive. The fifth base is staying alive, at least for the time being. These Templars do have quite a lot of kills though. 9 kills in between them. But such huge losses for the Protoss player. The resources lost are not that far apart, and more Hydras on the field. So even though Overseers would be needed, that would be nice. And this base could fall. I think a counterattack would kill this base from the Zerg player right now. And it would accomplish two things: limit the gas income of the Protoss player, since he is going for a huge air army, and carriers. Yes, yes, carriers. Oh my God, yes. Thank you, thank you. Limiting his gas income is going to cut into his production capabilities quite a lot, and at the same time it will keep the Protoss army off the Zerg's back and allow him to retake this expansion. It looks like the Zerg player is thinking along the same lines as I am, as he is charging into the left expansion of the Protoss player, and if he actually kites into those Void Rays, all of those will go down, and that could be considered almost a one game at this point, because the army supply is just 14 versus 111, and yeah, the 28 supply is, half of it is in production. Like, regarding army units, we only have 7 Zealots. There are 2 carriers in production, but 7 Zealots? What is that going to accomplish, I ask you? We have ground carapace level 3 being in production right now, as the level 3 missile attacks are already completed. And the Zerg can just A-move at this point. I mean, there is nothing the Protoss has that could stop this army. He would need Storm, which he's only just now queuing up, probably forgotten about that. He would need much more gateways. He would need a standing army, first and foremost. The shield upgrade is going to be cancelled. One carrier is not going to do that much versus this army. Whenever the Protoss moves out, it's going to just be squashed by the might of the swarm. And at this point, the Zerg can go just for the third base right here. I think this is exactly what he's going to do. Should get rid of the pylons first. And you know, there is no trump card here. There is no ace up the sleeve of the Protoss player. DTs are going to be ineffective because there is an Overseer here. Zealots are not going to cut it. Really not enough Archons, not enough gateways, only 2 carriers, and I think we are going to witness the destruction of Ire all over again right now. As he's only taking his Hydralisks, trying to spread his army. And, well, it looks like, at least for the time being, the Protoss player is holding on. But again, the Zerg has the economic advantage, he does have the upgrade advantage, and he does have the better unit composition. I mean, unless you have like 6 or 8 carriers in your army, those Hydras are not dying. It's just... even adding on Corruptors, 15 Corruptors being produced, or just have been produced right now. And, well... there are no Void Rays, so Corruptors, that's a good call. If there were Void Rays in this composition, Corruptors would be bad. But without Void Rays, there's nothing the Protoss player can do about those Corruptors. Carriers, Archons, or not. He's got nothing to deal with this. And he's getting mined out as well. His natural base will be mined out in a matter of seconds. And he's going to be down on pretty much 1 base economy. We only have 500 minerals on these patches remaining here, and the Zerg player still has fresh patches here and here, sort of. But he does have bases, the Protoss player does not. And if this base goes down again, which Evan is going to scout is up, and he's going to hit it. Remember, the carrier army is so immobile. It's not like the Protoss player can just defend this location whenever he wants, unlike if he would have had the more conventional ground army, especially with the Mothership Corps. Speaking of which, is only just now joining the main army, so... or is it? I mean, there is no point in keeping the Mothership Corps just for the Photon overcharge in this stage of the game, because it's not going to accomplish much. Better keep it with your army for a possible recall. So, let's see, we have a good storm, but that only hits the roaches. The Corruptors are a better target for the storm, though, as they are trying to target down the Void Rays, but... oh my god, that just went so badly. That just went so badly for the Zerg player. I mean, those storms turned the battle entirely into the Protoss favor, in my opinion. Without those storms, I mean, half the Corruptors was almost dead by the time they even got to the Void Rays. Why, if they were to go from the flank instead of like this, like A-moving, they could have taken the Void Rays out, and then who knows what would have happened. But as it is, this army is... it's going to be very tough to kill. We still have a lot of storms remaining here. We have 2, 4, soon to be 6 storms available for the Protoss player, which pretty much means that these Corruptors cannot close in on the Void Rays. Another storm going down, another will be followed, I think, as soon as the Corruptors stop for a second. The Void Rays are still alive. The Hydralisks are closing in, though. Can they do what the remainder of the Zerg army could not? At the same time, we have a Zealot attack at the other expansion of the Zerg player, but oh my god! The Hydralisks were not able to deal with this army, despite the upgrades. But carriers, +2 attack. Oh my goodness. That one battle with those storms right here, that was so bad. Seriously, so bad. So in the end, creative is victorious despite making some mistakes in that game, but the Zerg player was the one that made the ultimate mistake. No infestors, making corruptors when he was not supposed to, and most importantly, eating all the friggin' storms. All the storms. Like, you don't do this. You don't do this ever. Especially when you rely on the corruptors to kill off the void rays. Why would you let them be stormed, I wonder? So this was practically just a case of not knowing what to do versus that kind of army the Protoss player was fielding. And it is also the case of ending the show for today. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next week. Right now I'm gonna eat a little bit and play some games. By the way, if you're into horror games, Outlast just came out. Get it. It's seriously good. Really good. So, see you guys. Remember, good luck, have fun, stay safe, and storm first and ask questions later.